We're here on the Aegean Sea at the port at Izmir, which was Smyrna in Turkey. And you can see Jerry standing by the edge of the water, Larry, Willard, Sean, Doris, and we're at the top of Pergamum, the Acropolis. You can see how high of an elevation, 1,000 feet, and you can see the valley below. Talus would see the armies approaching and where he defeated the Gauls. The top of the Acropolis here at Pergamum. And again, as in many of the other places, you see the barrels for the columns that are remaining.
Goes
Foundation
two lines of
Temple of Athena.
Back there, comes around this way. This is the end. This is the bedrock, the foundations of the temple, and it's classified to be the oldest building in Pergamum. Now, there's no place for the altar. Even if they had earlier, it must have been a small altar, small sacrificial area. That is the reason why they had this lower terrace here, where the two trees are, two green trees. They had the lower terrace, and they built that altar, the altar of Zeus. The one that we said on the bus, the altar of Zeus. That's not the name of it. I mean, because of the decoration, they call it altar of Zeus. But it's the altar of the temple. How do we know that? It's aligned. Where's the sacrificial? And the salt statue.
The two trees is where the altar that's in Germany was located.
And the Athenian statue. The statue of Athena.
And facing the Athena temple.
There are two different, in the Greek art, there are two different representations of good and bad. One of them is gods and giants. The other one is Greeks versus Amazon. You know the Amazon, the fighter woman?
Mm-hmm.
So the one that kills the men and only women survives, yeah. So, Greeks versus Amazons, gods versus giants. I know it's not going to mean much, but the term is gigantomachy, giantomachy. The other one is amazonomachy. So, if you hear that, you know that's a battle between those two. That altar, the place where it's left, the thing that's left for us, is not close, but from here, down there you see one single tree in the heart of it. See 4 steps or 5 steps left down there. So that altar used to stand there. So that's just the foundations of it. Made it the 21st century. Now, just one more sample of Pergamum art. Here, let me show you the one that I said, the dying gold, the one in Rome, in Capitoline Museum. That's the statue. It's an amazing piece of sculpture.
And that's where?
That's in Rome.
Where?
The entrance of the gate up there, he says, Basileus, Athena, Attalos, Nikophoroi. Nikophoroi is savior, victorious. Basileus king. King Attalos the savior. The guy who won against those Gauls, he's the one who did that gate to enter to here. One side of Athenian gate, Athenian temple, where now he's been walking and he came to that side, is the library. Now, near Athenian temple, you would always find library because she came out from the brain of Zeus. So she symbolizes intelligence. So libraries will be always in the Athenian temple. Have a triangular.
This is the library.
Many of them. You have papyrus rolls. They're about 35-40 centimeters, about a foot width. And at the end of the papyrus, there's a rope with a little piece of papyrus which tells you the subject of the book, the subject of the roll. And when you look at the size of the library over here, it has 4 rooms, and when you try to calculate, you reach to a number of 200,000 books. When you think of Alexandria having 300,000, with being the largest library in the whole world, back then, ancient library, Pergamum is the second one. And historically, we know from the correspondences that the
Second largest library in the world at that time.
Egypt.
200,000
When
volumes.
Pergamum library reaches to a number that can threaten to be the biggest library of the world, Alexandria forces and stop exportation of papyrus to Asia Minor. So when you don't have the source, you can't get books. And these Pergamum guys, they have money. You know, Alexandria is rich. They are rich too. So what they do, they haven't invented anything, but they started using, as it was used in some places earlier, skin of lamb, skin of an animal. They start using leather. They start writing it. But then they stitched it, and then they rolled it like papyrus. How do you read papyrus? You roll it over here, unroll it over there. The leather is too thick. And then they said, let's stitch it this way. And then you have the director of the Library of Pergamum went from here to Rome, and he took it and he introduced it to Rome and saying that this is Pergamum paper. And in Latin it's called parchment. So parchment originates from here. What happened to all those books? Mark Antony, you know, the guy who's with the Cleopatra, he gifted all these books of Pergamum and Ephesus to Cleopatra, so all of them went to Egypt. 500,000 books. About 500 years later, Library of Alexandria burned down. So all those books, gone.
About 750,000 by that time?
Probably. Three quarters of a million. Yeah, 750,000. So, how do we know all this stuff? You know, I'm talking about with Livius, Strabon, the letter of Pliny and Trajan, and
Well, this is the theater. We just came from the library area. There was the Temple of Athena, the library area, came up, and then you look out over the cliff and there's the theater that overlooks the valley. It's an impressive theater at that. Roman temple here.
but you know, this is
Trajan versus Hadrian.
Revelation, Pergamum, and this is the 7th one that we see. And the letter that is written over here has a very significant word used in it. It's called Satan's throne. John referred to.
Know where you dwell, where Satan's throne is.
People were thinking that it's. You see where the town is? Try to look to the right side of the town. There's a big white building. That's military there.
Yeah.
I'm aligning myself with them. Looking at the right side. Try to look to the right of the big white building. Bunch of trees. Down there is dark cypress trees. Probably about 30 of them. That's the hospital. That's where the hospital was.
This is where the hospital was.
The health sanctuary. So Antipas, that dentist, who is the first martyr in Pergamum.
They believe this is the home of Antipas, who they thought was a dentist. Here's a photo of the steepness of the theater. All the rest of the group going down the pit to go to the theater. Very narrow entrance here. Very dangerous here with no rails. But that's where You can see another temple area over there. And one can imagine the walls being built here.
This is Ladies and gentlemen, the reason I ask to make the hand-woven rugs, there are only two different techniques. In China, in India, in Tunisia, in Morocco, what else? Except our country. People in those countries, they make single nuts on the base, on the skeleton. Look, these two rooms are in pure wool. Everything on these rooms are wool, weft, and they make the nuts, ladies and gentlemen, so you can feel, you can touch them. They're all hand-spun wool. Please, first of all, imagine my fingers as the skeleton of the carpet, as the parts in those countries, like in China and India, for example. People, weavers, they do make one nut on the second part, ladies and gentlemen. So when you look at here carefully, as you see, this is free, ladies and gentlemen. This is known as Chinese technique, or Persian, or single nuts. When you use these rugs on the floor for heavy traffic, ladies and gentlemen, day by day, you may unknot the nuts. You may have catch dogs sometimes, they have a scratch. So it's possible to unknot them. Okay, this is free, they may come out. To make the carpets more durable, in Turkey, our weavers, they make two nuts, ladies and gentlemen, known as double or Turkish nut. The antique name gördes. Okay? This is known as a double nut. So if you try to unknot the nuts with all your strength, please try. On the finished examples, you can try. Or also on the looms, you can try. Please do that. It is impossible to unknot them. They only get tighter and tighter. Their feelings, their laws, surroundings, their cultures, their traditions. So they have meanings. When they finish one row of line, look, like this, they put such a piece of cartoon into the legs, so they can fix from here. If they put something like that, pile of the rug will be thicker. So by using these adjustable scissors, they cut the material. Okay? That's the last step. Let's see. Any questions so far about the workmanship?
Well, but how did they go so fast?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is not Chinese. This is Turkish. We get these from Bursa city. That's between Izmir and Istanbul. From here, I think it's almost. Tonight we see them? Good. We buy these in towns from Bursa, from Kervansaray's. Actually, if you follow the pictures behind me, you can have an idea about the lovely caterpillars. The history of these starts when the eggs are left by the butterflies in the month of July. And we will keep those eggs in these special boxes till to the next season. When the mulberry leaves are in the season, the caterpillars will feed themselves on the mulberry leaves. And that will take, ladies and gentlemen, more or less 45 days' time. During that time, they just eat and sleep 8 times a day. I think that's all. At the end, when they grow up enough, we will put little branches. And actually caterpillars, they will start to climb there and they make the cocoons around themselves in only 3 days, ladies and gentlemen. When they complete them, the idea and the vision of the caterpillar, look, is to pierce it and fly to the freedom as a butterfly. If they can do that, this potential, the male ones will die automatically, we die immediately. So you have more time than us. The female ones, first of all, will leave the eggs. And also the average lifetime will be only 9 hours and 15 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you know that's still. Look. Please try to see the individual threads. They are so thin. It's amazing. This is the strongest fiber in the nature, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Can you see? Right. If you do want, we can touch, ladies and gentlemen. You can feel them. Please feel comfortable. Herkes beni ders ediyor. Ders ediyor. Şu şeyi göstermek şansım yok. And if I were you, I would touch and feel. Please, yes. Wow.
Well, it makes sense.
And ladies and gentlemen, şurada var galiba. I'm going to show you the inside, as I told you, if they can't hear it, they die inside. So they're all dead, and you can see. The Chinese people, they eat peas. Believe or not, that is true. In our country, in Turkey, we eat the chickens. Yes, they love peas. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen?
We're 800 knots.
Oh, that's.
Can,
Honestly, it's unbelievable. Each time I surprised, unbelievable.
Is it around how maybe if you walk into the room and see it? This way, this is a different way?
That's because of the reflection of the light on the nap, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Would you like to see one more time?
we're at the site of the Nicaea. This is the site of the Seventh Ecumenical Council.
Period, but the importance of the church, the basilica, the time when it became the capital. If you remember, we said 1204, this place became the capital of the Byzantine Empire. So this sort of follows came in at that time. Why you need that? Because coronation needs to be done in the capital, in the main basilica. So this is a coronation center. As emperor is on the east as the head of the church. He stands right in the center. On the east, I said, I underlined that. As emperor is the head of the church on the east. He stands right in the center. That's the center of the world for the Byzantine world. But omphalos means the belly button in Greek. So that's why the name is Omphalion. The
Omphalion.
members of the
Center of the world where the emperor would stand.
So this doesn't have any, because some of the books do mention it, and it is not true. This is not the place where Constantine stood at the time of that 325 council, the Nicene Creed. And there's no physical part of this building from that period. This is much later. The seventh ecumenical council is said to be, again, I'm underlining it, is said to be in this building. And then once we show up, once we come to here, we convert that into a mosque. Just the explanation of the minaret outside. So the upper parts where the plastering parts are from the Turkish, and that roof is only 20 rows. It was not here before here last. This here is being renovated. The only threshold left here is the left. The only decoration from the church is on the left side.
The only decoration left from the church is right over here.
I know it's kind of hard to see what it is, but it's actually Jesus in the center. And on the left you have Mary. On the right side you have St. John the Baptist. This is, the depiction is called Deisis. Deisis panel. It's the last judgment. It's when they're asking.
We just entered Istanbul. 70 miles wide, 40 miles tall. Looks like any modern city. See 18-wheelers, cars.
Neredesin sabahtan beri? Selamünaleyküm. Neredesin diyorum, seni arıyorum sabahtan.
Green and white signs.
Evet. Eski kiliseyi sonradan cami. Hatırlarsam söylerim. Now they have a building code, yeah.
You can see the buildings
Buildings, they'd almost have to be.
driving down modern buildings.
And these are the last 5 years on the left hand side.
It's a beautiful building.
They're building a whole new city out here. And the same thing will be on the right side. You see that sign? It says that. That's government project. Wherever you see that TOKI, it's a government project. As you can see that on the left.
This house, just
It's
standard
government
house.
housing, yeah. Standard government. Well, from 1 bedroom to 4 bedrooms. Highest point in Istanbul, where the TV antennas are.
The highest point in Istanbul is in front of us.
Down to the right. The one we're crossing is
Their
1973.
Golden Gate Bridge
The one on the right is
crosses the
1988.
Bosphorus.
One of the palaces of the city is a sharp left. That's the mouth of Bosphorus leading to Sea of Marmara. And on the right side, I mean still on the left hand side, but on the right of the Bosphorus, see that cruise ship, the big cruise ship there? And that, beyond the cruise ship, is the mouth of Golden Horn, which we'll be crossing later. So, once we cross that, don't get confused. We're not changing back to Europe, back to Asia. We'll be on the European side.
See the large buildings here on the European side. of Istanbul. We're actually going to go to the left, which will take us to the old city, 3,000 years old. This part is 6th century AD.
But she's that's crazy.
Friday they were out spreading along. He was up there helping.
Geliyorum aldım. Pazar günü uçuyor başta.
Video, everything.
Turk Telecom.
Yani şirin görünce.
There's the Bambi Cafe.
Hı hı. Zaten çok pozitif konuşmuş. Yani.
First time we went 2 or 3 days.
Yani şey demiş işte, ne bileyim, senin sınıfta ilk 3-4 kişiden birisi demiş.
Police
Yani
station.
senin için çok iyi demiş, o şeye.
Anyway, there's the one on the map, and Jerry and I sat across and walked by the neighborhood, impressive, distinguished, wealthy. And we'd say,
Trump Towers.
Yep.
yeah.
Y'all see this? Trump Towers.
Trump Tower.
City of 15 million people.
Anlamıyoruz çocuk. There you go. We're represented here. Look to your left side. It's at the very sharp left. There is a bus which is blocking our view. The sharp left right now. You see that tower and a building in the middle of the green? That's Topkapi Palace. Still on the left hand side, sharp left, there's a big massive dome of Constantinople.
Walls
So
of Constantinople.
behind these walls would be the old city, and we're on the edge of it. Now we're gonna go through them. Okay, trivia question. What's the first university of the world? Oxford is 1200 and something, 13th century. So these guys are about 600, 700 years earlier than the
What's the name of this one?
University of Istanbul. One driver, one shooter.
One shooter.
Drive-by shooting. It's the first one, but not good. They haven't learned it yet.
Going to our hotel right here.
The yellow one's gold.
Nam is describing how these are made. You first start with a picture and then put the plaster on to match the painting.
That's how it's done. Before the picture. Now, the panels depict the life of Mary and the life of Jesus. Some of these, in the Orthodox mosaic, seraphim stands for the Father. So it stands for the Lord, it stands for the Father, and Jesus is up there as well.
The
gray
Assumption
area
of
is the end
Mary.
of heaven. So Jesus is going to take us through the
Peter and Paul on that side, supposedly Jesus, and believing in Mary's spirit, the reincarnation.
Skilled artist who did this. Let's go and have a look. Up there, the entire lineage.
Gives the ancestry of Mary.
And in front of you, above me, that's the mother of Mary. Supposedly their donations are not accepted by the temple, and that is the reason why they've decided to give the first one time to the temple. And after the decision is taken, the announcement happens, and that angel that was up there is announcing and the mother of Mary about the coming birth of Mary. On the next, from the arch, his miracle is being discussed by the Father.
This shows the pregnant Mary and the life of Jesus all the way here.
So both of them can be seen with the animals around and a rock where Mary is laying. And behind Mary there's a pillar of light comes from the sky. St. John, normally the depiction is St. John and Mary and Jesus. But over here, St. John is missing.
Various individuals,
Jesus is not seated on his
prophets,
throne,
for
standing.
Jesus.
There are two guys over here to the left and right. That's Alexis Cornelos. That's Melanie, the church, the one that he decorated, the one that he gave a lot to the one who contributed a lot to the building. And he chose to be a monk, and he lived in this church for the rest of his life. Center of the dome. And
Supposedly
this side,
vision of the end of heaven, or end of the world.
in the center, St. John on the right, Mary on the left, and the first row of the apostles, and the rest of the rows of the cross before him. That's the last judgment scene. Now underneath him, there are two angels.
This is Jesus raising Eve, safe on our sarcophagus,
Church
and
Father,
Adam on the day of judgment.
St. John Chrysostomos. As you can see on the right side, some of them are partially renovated.
Bosphorus. This is toward the Black Sea.
Are the islands Greek or are they Turkish?
No, those are Turkish.
And there is
There are about
the
7 of them
bridge.
there, and then 2 separately. They're 11:30 direction. You can see the separate 2 eyes going at the sharp one. We have used all our imagination to name them, so we call them Flat Island and Sharp Island. The flat one is Alcatraz of Istanbul. We have a prison on it.
We're inside the court of the Blue Mosque. We're going through the little tunnel to take our shoes off.
They're so thin that they can't break.
Yep, one little toe, one on the next little toe. We're inside the Blue Mosque. Large domes which are layered on top of each other. There's Nam.
So this is 17th century, not like the one we've seen yesterday. It was 15th century, 1412. So this is like 200 years after that construction. And mission is given by one of the sultans to an architect. this chap had the hardest mission amongst the others. The reason is across the street we have Hagia Sophia. That's the largest church. And this side of the street, built the mosque. But this has to be bigger, to be more better. What happened? Overcome that, he decorated this mosque with the
18-foot pillars, solid marble. Diameter is 18 feet.
Beauty is on the eye of the beholder, but this is one of the most beautiful mosques of the world. Before telling you anything about its beauty, let me point out the things you can see. We've seen them earlier. The direction of Mecca. You see that too?
The direction of Mecca.
The right side of it, that narrow staircase when it goes up, the one we saw was out of wood yesterday. This is out of marble. And where the microphone is, you can see halfway. For the Sabbath. When the sermon is done. As we said, you go to the biggest mosque in the world, smallest mosque in the world, doesn't matter. Those are milestones of mosque. Every mosque should have them. This one is imperial too, so we have the corner of the royalty, which is far left corner. You see the balcony on the left? On the upper left? The one with the golden fence. That's where Sultan used to pray, totally isolated from the public. We are here, men, the ladies behind the fence. Men and women
Ladies behind the
are
fence.
separated from one another. Men is always in the front, ladies in the back. Don't give me that.
This mosque was constructed in 1609, 17th century.
Flowers of 7 hills, because Istanbul originally founded on 7 hills. One additional thing.
We're now walking up to Hagia Sophia after visiting the Blue Mosque. Church built by Justinian. This is part of the second church. We're actually going into the third one. This is Hagia Sophia. The Cora Church, where we went first this morning. Then that's where the Blue Mosque is at today.
Rome 1, the pagan Rome.
And this is Hagia Sophia.
And then when we conquered Constantinople, Moscow, one of the czars claimed that Moscow is the third Rome, but no one paid attention. Ephesus, Sardis, Philadelphia, all the cities we were. When Constantine, bigger than Solomon's Temple, I want that to be the largest thing ever standing on earth.
Justinian wanted this.
10,000 workers. To make them work, they hired 1,000 supervisors. To make them work, they hired 2 architects. What did they do? It's right behind you.
This was the way it looked in Justinian's day. This is the piece of marble that was at the foot of the baptistry, and it is in Greek, and it says, "Don't wash your hands, wash your sins." Inside the main part of Hagia Sophia, it's obvious this is a massive structure.
dome collapsing, build it in 5 years. How did they start it? They started with 4 pillars. They don't look like a pillar, they look like a wall, but those are the supporting pillars of the church.
It's the
They're
pillars.
900 square feet size, marble outside, limestone inside. Between the limestone, the mortar that they have is egg white. Egg white is the glue that holds the church together. 4 pillars, 4 half domes, 4 arches, 2 half domes, and then a dome. Seems like, it's easy to say that. 4 pillars, 2 half domes, and a dome. Has ships. Upon the request of the Pope, when he said, can you take the Holy Arms to the Holy Land? Crusades arms to the Holy Land? He said, yes, but I have an unfinished business in Constantinople. I'll stop here and we go to the Holy Land if it doesn't.
This was the main chandelier in the dome. Give you some kind of idea, just look at the size of that lady there compared to it. This is the Muslim panel, Virgin and Child. It's in the eastward direction inside Hagia Sophia.
That says Muhammad, that says Allah. I'm sorry. That says Allah, that says Muhammad. 2 on your
El reinado de Murad y es original del periodo helenístico.
On either side is Justinian and Constantine. Both look a lot alike to me. We're at the Topkapi Palace.
Here. By the X-ray timing later on, but this is where we're going to come back together. Alright? No, the bus is not going to be here. We're going to get together, then we're going to walk to the bus. Alright? Where are we?
Chimneys for the kitchen here in the palace.
The largest Chinese porcelain.
14 tons of gold inside. 4.5 ton crystal chandelier.
And also 900 pieces of Imari porcelain. What happened to it? It's under restoration now. It will be open hopefully by 2010. Right across, behind you, where you see that big tower where people are lining up to buy a ticket to go in, that would be the entrance to the harem section.
Entrance to the harem section.
And when you have your free time, if you want, you can go and buy them, have a look at it. But if you ask my personal opinion, don't bother with it, because inside they have 400 rooms, no furniture. The only thing that you're going to see, just the rooms one after another, and some of the rooms are quite nice, decorated with tiles, but there's no furniture and no boards, no nothing. And but the harem is the place where Sultan used to live, where he had one sultan pass to the other, father to son, one at a time. And it went from, as I told you that the sons do kill each other before they can get to the throne. So that's where the concubines, sons, sultan, and eunuchs. Eunuchs castrate slaves. It's against Islam, so it's not done in the country, it's done outside the country, which is the loophole. And they do that in Egypt. They do that in Egypt. Fatality is quite high, 8 out of 10. It's done at puberty, and then they dip you on the hot sand, so if you survive, you become a eunuch, and then you're sold as a slave, and some of them ends over here, and some of them ends in many other cultures. And those eunuchs supposedly guard the women. That's the idea. So that's what they had behind those walls. All those women, intrigues, eunuchs, sultan, 400 average. The biggest number is 960 concubines in the history.
We're walking through the third garden. And there's an extremely old tree. Still has limbs growing out of it. Well, Coretta and I are sitting here on the Bosphorus Strait. She's finishing up our strawberries. We paid $53.50 for it, and or $53.53 lira. And there's some of the rest of our group. Okay, Jerry. Did you get your money's worth?
I'm gonna ask for a refund on this.
Let's see. I know Doris, you spent what, 30? And Alan spent 100.
But look what I got for 30. I didn't get very much for 30.
The little man got the ruins of the castle later.
Well, I spent $53.50. But mine was good and to the very last drop. We're going out. A bunch of school kids were here today. Teachers having a hard time keeping them in line.
I was getting to
Watch these. They don't have one on the other side.
Grand Bazaar. We're inside the Turkish Bazaar, and it is really neat in here. It's much, much cleaner than I expected. All kinds of purses, jewelry, rugs, t-shirts, caps. Beautiful view of the Bosphorus here, where we are outside our hotel. You can see the ships in the harbor. It's just about 6 o'clock in the morning. That's the Blue Mosque. Another view from a little bit higher of the Bosphorus here in Istanbul. So we move to a beautiful sunrise here.
Inside this palace for Andy Warhol.
We may have here
Montaigne.
flame of the
And
Statue of
as
Liberty.
this flame is standing on the tunnel,
Tell us to go up to the second level.
Yeah, the second one.
Okay.
deuxième étage, tout le monde descend, vous changez l'ascenseur pour le troisième étage.
Wow. We'll walk over here. So let's go this way and see if we can see on the other side. You can't look at the other side.
As Notre Dame, but Notre Dame today it's 800 years old. Tu as fait déjà dans la gare d'Austerlitz, il y a des portes. You're right.
It's original. It was built in 200 years, starting from the right, terminating on the left. The right, the main address, the name, the gate, and then we did 3 levels, so right to the door. And inside, the most important, you have to look at the ceiling on the pillar. And this is the oldest statue in this cathedral, Notre Dame. Mary and the Son. 800 years old, everything original limestone. We started the main altar, going east, Holy Land, Jerusalem, then doing the nave, and then the side, terminated by 3 levels, 3 floors to be by the ceiling. And the ceiling, as I told you, I repeat, is the most important. This is we could see a ceiling like that for the first time. Why, if you like, the fort, the power of the church coming from the heaven, from the ceiling, like fingers and hands. Why we could open windows without any trouble. 3 big rose windows. This is the north, dedicated to the Old Testament. 95 figurines, kings of Israel. This is the kings, the Jewish kings. On the other side, the south rose window. The New Testament, the Apostles, 12, 6 on the right, 6 on the left, and by the middle you see the 4 Gospels. Look to them, they are not alone. Look on the shoulders, they have 4 kings of Israel, because they are doing the transition from the Old to the New Testament. And the 3rd rose window is this one going west, and this is the window of the Virgin Mary. Here the gargoyles. And all those gargoyles were born in Notre Dame, and then they traveled to the United States. Their job, to push water out from the mouth when it's raining. Otherwise, big risk for the roof to be heavy. All of them ugly people, vampires, animals, Greek mythology, except the second one. Look where is the renovation. You have an animal. Look the second one, a woman with the hat. And this is, she was the mother-in-law of the first architect of this church. His name Pierre de Montreuil. I was not with them, but it seemed they got troubles together. And he moved his mother-in-law to be on the roof. And then I will show you where is the flying buttresses.
I know.
You see it? In the 16th century. The church today
St.
is
James
not active.
Church.
Only this tower could survive. And this is important for the Catholic, the Christians. And this is where all the Catholics used to meet here. And then they moved together going south to Spain, to Saint Jacques de Compostelle. te montrer la voiture que je... Je t'ai dit l'autre fois, mon nom, comment elle est, c'est Mercedes. Selective officers of Napoleon. On the top, big name, the battles of Napoleon. Concerning the left side, the pillar on the left, that's it, the coronation of Napoleon. 2nd of December 1804 in Notre Dame Cathedral. You see Napoleon to the left, and that's it, the coronation of Napoleon in Notre Dame. Vous l'avez bien, vous l'avez pas?
Ah, ce moment après le pont de la Marne, suite à la chanson Toute contente, nous allons avoir le plaisir d'expliquer un instant. Tout l'équipage se tient à faire du président pour tout renseignement et vous souhaite une très agréable croisière. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Battle Bahia. Downstream, we're going to discover 22 bridges and the major monument of Paris.